Everybody, thank you so much for joining me. Today I'm going to be talking to you guys about some of the new Milani spring products. Um, I got a primer, a foundation, an eyeshadow palette, a mascara, and a lip product. So we're going to get right into these. I have a demo on the foundation that we're going to see first. And then we're going to come back here and talk about each of the products individually. So we'll see you in just a second. Okay guys, so I got these products about a week ago and I've really been putting them to the test for the past several days, and so far so good. I am really liking a lot of them. So first off, I'm just going to get into the primer, and it is $9.99, and I got all of these products on the Milani website. So they have two new primers. One is more of a hydrating primer, and then the other one is more of a pore filling oil control primer. Since I'm oily, I did get the pore filling one, and it is the Milani Prime Shield Face Primer, Mattifying and Pore Minimizing, Oil Free. It is the one in the black tube, the other was in the white tube. It does have dimethicone as the #1 ingredient, which is the case for most primers. And I find that whenever they have a high concentration of dimethicone, it does help to fill your pores a little bit more and to add a little bit more shine control as opposed to ones that have less of the dimethicone in them, such as the CoverGirl True Blend Oily Primer. That one I did not like at all, and it did not have as much of that dimethicone feel to it. So this I've been using and I really like it. I have noticed that I get a good 6 hours of wear time before I start to get oily in my little space between my eyebrows and around my nose. By the end of the day, if I've worn this for about 8 to 10 hours, I am getting oily around my nose and in my forehead area, but it's not anywhere near the extent that I have with other primers that have not worked out very good for me. And I think that getting 6 hours of wear before you really have to worry about blotting or powdering is really good, in my opinion, for a primer, especially with my oily skin. So far, this has worked really great. I love it. And I would say that it is very comparable to the Garnier 5-Second Blur, which is my favorite drugstore primer. They are different consistencies, like different textures, whenever you first put them out of the tube, but whenever you get them on the skin, they perform very much the same. Next up is the foundation that you saw the demo of. This is the Milani Conceal Plus Perfect 2-in-1 Foundation and Concealer, and I got mine in the color 03 Light Beige. I wanted to get the light medium one. It was one shade up from this, but it was sold out online, so I thought I would take a chance on this one, and this actually turned out being a little bit better for me because this was somewhat dark. I thought it would be a little bit lighter, and it also has just a hint of a yellow undertone to it. So since I'm more neutral, I can kind of get away with it, but if you are someone who is very cool toned, this might not work out for you in this color. So that's something to keep in mind. Ideally, it would be nice if you could find this in stores so that you can actually look at the bottle and see what it looks like. Now this does have a really nice little ergonomic pump on it, which I love. And it says on the back it has medium to full coverage, lightweight oil-free formula, long-wearing, water-resistant, and sweat-proof. And I would say that all of those claims are very much accurate. I am loving this foundation. It is one of the best drugstore foundations that I have tried that has a more heavy but not cakey looking coverage. A lot of the drugstore foundations that I tend to like are more on the light to medium coverage side because I don't want to look too cakey. This one, whenever you put it out on your hand, it does look very thick and it feels thick going on your skin. But I did apply it with a damp beauty blender, and I always find that that helps with the heaviness of foundations because you can really sheer it out but still get that coverage that you need by going into other areas and just kind of packing on a little bit more with your sponge. And you noticed in the demo, whenever I applied it to just one half of my face first, and then showed you the difference between the two halves before I proceeded on to the next one, there is a good amount of difference between the coverage that I got on the one side versus the other side. I felt like it covered my dark circles pretty well for it just being the foundation layer with no concealer on top of it. And as for this little guy right here, I did feel like it covered a lot of the redness and kind of dark purpley kind of angry look that it had to it. It's just at that stage right now where no concealer is going to really cover all of it. So I'm happy with at least getting a little bit of the angry look toned down with it. I think that this foundation is really good. I've been using it every day with the primer, but on its own even, I feel like the texture of it and the fact that it is oil-free really helps contribute to the fact that it is very long wearing, and I don't feel like it settles into my fine lines, and I don't feel like I get that kind of cakiness that you tend to get with other heavier foundations. I would say this is definitely medium to full coverage. I could have built it up a little bit more to obtain that true full coverage, but this is really as much coverage as I would like to go. And I do set it with the Master Fix Studio Face Studio by Maybelline. I just really like how silky this is. And this foundation is also $9.99. Next up is the eyeshadow palette. This is also $9.99, and they have several versions of this. And the colors that they have are kind of ones that can go along with complementing your own individual eye color, be it green, blue, brown, etc. And I picked up the one in Plum Basics because I have green eyes, and I really thought that that would complement mine the most. I really dig the plum colors, but this palette is very sturdy. It does not feel cheap like a CoverGirl palette or Maybelline palette. I really like this. This is a nice palette, and what's really nice, I don't use them, but I hate it whenever they include little sponge tip applicators, you know, like these are actual brushes on both ends, which I feel like is really nice for them to include. And you do get 3 matte shades in here, which are going to be this one, and then this deep purple over here. And then you get 3 shimmery shades, which are these 2 and this top one. And I did use the little diagram on the back for the look that I did with it today, and I'm really happy with the way it turned out. I think it looks really nice, and that uses all of the colors in the palette, but of course you don't have to. I've used just 1 and 2 colors out of it to do just a really simple look. Overall, the pigmentation on these are really good. This one right here, which is the accent color that they give you, does have actual chunks of glitter in it though, but on the diagram they just suggest to put it on the inner corner. So, I mean, it's not that big of a deal for me, but that's something to keep in mind if you don't really like chunky glitter. The other 2 shimmery shades are not bad at all. They're very finely milled and just a shimmer instead of a glitter. I do use a primer with these all the time. I use the Milani Shadow Primer, and I don't find that I get any creasing or fading with these. They stay really well. I was so impressed with how nice this palette is and how cheap it is. I'm gonna insert a picture of some up-close swatches of this palette right after this, and then we're gonna go on to the mascara. So next up is the mascara that I got. I got the LASH TRIFECTA one, which is supposed to curl, lengthen, and separate. And they have, I think, 2 or 3 other new mascaras out. This is $7.99 a piece. And this is what the brush looks like on it. You can tell it is a little bit curved. And then it does actually have bristles on the tip of it right here, going all the way around the curve of it so that you can use it to really get into the corners. And then it has kind of spaces between each row of bristles, so you really only have 3 rows of bristles. Let's see if I can get that. like that. It's kind of in a little like triangle shape. So it's somewhat like the CoverGirl Supersizer mascara, which I freaking hated. It did not work out for me. I do like the look that this one gives for my lashes. Now it is a drier formula, which I tend to like, but it is even on the drier side of the dry formulas. So you have to work very quickly. It dries down pretty much before you can even finish. You know, you do a coat on this eye, and then before you can finish the coat on this eye, your first one is dry and you need to be going back in quicker than that. It does have a tendency to flake off if you do not work quickly enough with it. And I do not suggest using it on the lower lash line because it does have a tendency to smear and flake down there. If I just use it on the upper lash line and I work quickly enough before it dries, I don't get any flaking with it in that instance. So this I really enjoyed. You just have to be careful with which way you use it. Okay, lastly we have the lip product. I did buy another AMORE matte lip cream. This is the one that I got this time, and it is in one of the new colors, Precious. I believe that they launched like over 10 of these, 10 or 16, something like that. And I saw this one online and thought, oh yes, I really like that color. I want to get that. I do like the color of it. It dries down fairly quickly. Within about 3 minutes, it's completely dried down. I don't really get any transferring on there. With this one, I don't experience any flaking that I have with other matte liquid lipsticks, but I also don't get quite as long of a wear time out of it that I do with my favorite one, which is the Stila. I have Patina and Beso in that one. Patina is actually quite similar to this color, so that's something to consider. If you want more longevity, you might have to splurge for a more expensive lip product, but this one is pretty good. I get about 4 hours of wear if I don't eat anything. After I eat, I do have to apply because I pretty much just have a little bit left on the outer edges of my lips, and that's it. But overall, I am so impressed with this new Milani spring line. I love the primer. I love the foundation. I think it is so nice. It looks really nice on the skin. And for only being $9.99, whenever some drugstore foundations now are getting up into the $16, $17 range, this is amazing. You can't go wrong with this. The trick is going to be finding your right color and tone. The eyeshadow palette is so much better than some of the Maybelline and L'Oreal palettes that are out now. And, the lip product, oh, I love it. The only one that you have to be really careful of is the mascara. The wand is very pokey. It can poke your eyes just like that, and the next thing you know, tears coming out, and it can flake if you don't work quickly enough. So do keep that in mind. So guys, that is it for my review of the new Milani spring products that I tried. I hope that you liked this video. Please give it a thumbs up if you did, and don't forget to subscribe. I will catch you guys next time. Bye. Okay. Okay. That made no sense. Don't. I'm gonna. Hold on. Okay. You're gonna what? You're gonna what, Lindsey?